Okay, Boker Tov, everybody. Today's stuff is Yud Aleph 11. We're a little behind, but if we can be focused, we can maybe, God willing, we will catch up. So we start at the very last line of Yud Amud Aleph. Tanya. So Muchavanat Lehem Drachim. So in the middle of the creating of the Arei Miklat, and it says that they would, have the paths all leading to it. In the mission, it sounds like the paths would interconnect the various Arei Miklat, which is not the most useful. What you really want are paths leading from all places in the land to the Arei Miklat. What is it? All roads lead to Rome. All roads lead to Arei Miklat. So let's see what the Gemara says. Tan Rabbi Linzer ben Yaakov Omer, Miklat hayikatzav parashat Drachim. On all the crossroads, there would always be a sign saying Miklat this way. Okay, very helpful.
You mean the crossroads in the country elsewhere?
Throughout the country. Anytime you got to crossroads, as Yogi Berra says, when you come to a fork in the road,
take it.
Right. So anyway, so at all the crossroads, you would always know exactly which way to turn to get to the Arei Miklat. So he should be able to see and turn that way. Again, it's very interesting that this person who killed B'shogeg is consistently referred to as Rotzeach. Amarav Kahana, Mikra, what's the verse that shows you have to do this? So prepare the way. What does it mean, prepare the way? Make the way, directed, and make the way prepared so that it's easy for him to get.
We also have to think that you have to have road maintenance too.
Well, that's a good point. Road maintenance is a good point. So when Rav Chanan Bar Chanina was going to darshan on the discussion of the Arei Miklat, he would be poteach the pitcha, begin his opening from the following. And this, by the way, is a classic form of rabbinic midrash. You see it throughout Midrash Rabbah, like Breshit Rabbah, Shema Rabbah, the ptichta, which is that you usually open from a different pasuk, and then you find your way to get to, like if you're talking at the Parshas Toldos, you say what is it? Ateres Zakenim B'nei Banim U'Ateres Chachamim B'nos, whatever it is. What is it? Tiferes Banim Avotam. And then you say and then and that you use that to open, and then that's going to be your, and then somehow you're going to get to the story of Avraham and Yitzchak. So anyway. So here too, the idea is what would you do your pticha from? Where would be the pasukim that you would start from in order to wind your way? Excuse the pun. Anyway, to get your way over to the discussion of Arei Miklat. So, so he would begin it from here. Tov Yashar Hashem. Okay, Yorech Chata'im Badarach. God is right and just, and therefore He will show the sinners the path. So obviously the point here is somebody who's a sinner, again, similar to Kol Rotzeach, there was negligence led to the death. It's not a complete accident. And nevertheless, God wants to create the paths in order to protect the sinners and help them get to the Arei Miklat. And then the drasha was, this is what He does for the wicked, how much more so for the sinners, how much more so for the righteous. He would open the pitcha from the following place. Now, this is actually starting straight with the pasuk. It's not starting from a distant pasuk or some pasuk in Tanakh and Nach and moving your way. It's starting straight in the parsha. He would jump straight in, okay? Now, but here's the pasuk that would be a little off topic that he would weave in. Kasher Yomar Moshel HaKadmoni, like the early parables. Thank you, or would say Moshel HaKadmoni Mirashaim Yatzaresha. From wicked people comes out evil. So apparently Rashi says what's bothering him is, this pasuk is Elohim ina liyado, that God made it happen. So it sounds like God made this person's death happen, and the person who killed him was just God's kli. Was just the means, and God wanted this to happen. So if God wanted this to happen and God caused it all to happen, why does this guy have to go into exile? That's the problem. Elohim ina liyado. So the answer is Merisha'im Yatzaresha. Evil comes from bad people. This person was evil to begin with. And that's why, even though God is manipulating the whole thing, but ultimately this person goes into exile because he was evil to begin with. How do we understand what that means? So he says, what is the verse referring to? Two people who committed murder or killed. One did it unintentionally, and one did it willfully. Well, neither one have witnesses, so they both got off scot-free. One's a real murderer, the other is committed manslaughter. They both got off scot-free. So what's God going to do? God makes the events happen so that they both wind up coming to the same inn. And the one that killed intentionally committed murder is sitting under a ladder. And the one that killed unintentionally is going down a ladder. Notice has to be going down. Remember that. And fell on him and killed him. So justice is served. The one who killed willfully is killed, as he would have been executed in a court. The one who killed unintentionally goes to exile, as he should have been done for his first act. So therefore, God made it happen, but ultimately justice is being served. And the guy goes in exile. On the one hand, he was a Kli of God, and on the other hand, ultimately, this is what he had deserved anyway.
Well, it's worthwhile to point out.
Yes,
because I'm just looking up in the context of that pasuk. It is in the context of David and Shaul, how David is saying, "I could have killed you, Shaul, but I'm not going to."
Right.
So I'm saying
it's about murder
and not doing it.
And not right. So, okay, thank you. I'm a Rabbi bar Rav Huna, Rav Huna, Rabbi Rav Huna, Rav Linzer. Mina Torah, mina Nevim, mina Ksuvim. We learn out from Torah, Nevim, and Ksuvim. But Derech Shalom wrote to Leilech Ba Malichanoto. In the path that somebody wants to go, with God, they make it possible in heaven, or they send you on the path that you anyway were going. Okay, mina Torah dichsiv lo selech imahem. By Bilam it says do not go with them, and then Bilam insists. So since Bilam keeps on nudging God, God says, fine, you want to go. Okay, that's you want to go, so God lets you go. God is not going to stand in your way. I Hashem your God teach you for benefit. I guide you in the path that you will go. So the way it's being read is not I guide you in the path that you should go, but in the path that you anyway wanted to go, I will help guide you there. So if you want to go do evil, I'll make it possible.
Do we have the whole thing about leaving evil though? Like, how do you
most of this is that God isn't standing in your way. I'm sorry, I skipped the line. If with the mockers God will mock, but for the humble God will be gracious. Now, what does that show? So Rashi says it means if somebody who wants to go ahead and be a mocker or do evil, who yelitz, God will make it possible for him to do so. So God is not going to stand in the way. Okay, God will. So this is of course the idea of derech. This guy is trying to run to the army Miklat, and God, the Torah is making it possible for him to do so. But now we're obviously using that as a metaphor, and also, in terms of also bad stuff, that God is not going to stand in the way of somebody.
Not only is he not standing in his way, he's telling him to go, though, which is a little bit different.
Where?
Bill Lechitam, he's now telling him to go.
He's giving him permission. I don't know. Anyway, if you look at Rashi, hu yelitz ein ma'akvin biyado. Okay, Amar Rav Huna, rotzeach shegol l'ar miklat, u'metzao go adam hargo patur. Now we're going to get into some halacha. So the guy is running to the Ir Miklat, and the Gol Adam kills him on the way. Okay, is he already protected when he's on the way? So he says the Gol Adam is exempt until he makes it to the Ir Miklat. He's exposed. He's not protected by law. Okay, Patur kasavar v'lo ein mishpat moves, right? Begol Adam, begol Adam who okay, so the pasuk says, right, that this person will go, to the city, to the Arei Miklat, and it says, "Pen your dof goel Adam achar harotzeach, lest the avenger of blood run after the murderer." What is it? I think
there's a Hisigo in
there. And you have to create the Miklat lest the Goel Adam runs after him and kills him on the way. And he doesn't deserve to die because he didn't hate him from the past. So the pshat of the pasuk is that the one who killed the person doesn't deserve to die because it was an unintentional death. Okay, and the pshat of the pasuk is now the pasuk is it seems to be saying we're creating the Arei Miklat to prevent the Goel Adam from killing him on the way. So it seems to say that he's protected on the way, right? And therefore he has to be protected on the way, lest the Goel Adam runs after him and kills him. But this way is reading it. No, if the Goel Adam succeeds in killing him on the way, the lo ein mishpat maves. The Goel Adam is not liable for having killed that person, okay? Because he got him before he got to the Arei Miklat. And since the Goel Adam will be exempt before he gets to the Arei Miklat, you have to tachin lecha haderech. You have to make sure that the guy can get to the Arei Miklat as quickly as possible. That's the problem lo sonei lo mitmo shel shom doesn't fit so well, because that's clearly talking about the guy who did it. But it's a very reasonable read of the verse, which is this Goel Adam could kill him before he gets to the Arei Miklat and get away with it. So you have to do everything you can to make sure he gets to the Arei Miklat as quickly as possible. So that's what he says. The lo ein mishpat maves, the Goel Adam hu dichsiv. That's referring to the Goel Adam. He's not liable. Meisel, I'll ask you, lo ein mishpat maves, we have a bright that says that's talking about the one who killed the guy. Okay. Maybe it's referring to the Goel Adam, that he's not liable while the guy's on the way. He didn't hate him from the past. That's clearly talking about the guy who killed him and saying that it was unintentional because he didn't hate this guy who died.
He says it twice.
I understand. Okay, so you see that according to this Breita, it's not said about the Goel Adam. So no, who the Amar, this position goes with the one that says Ki Haitana, like the following Tana Tanya, there's a Tana that says it is referring to the Goel Adam, that he's not liable if he kills the guy on the way. Maybe it's referring to the murderer or the killer. The end of the pasuk, ironic. That is clearly talking about the guy who killed, and that he is not sort of, to be treated as a murderer. He did not do it intentionally. So since that last phrase is talking about the guy who killed, the previous phrase, the lo ein mishpat maves, would be redundant if it was talking about the guy who killed. So the previous phrase, the lo ein mishpat maves, clearly is talking about the Goel Adam.
With your permission, can I suggest a different, perhaps a better interpretation of this?
Of the Gemara?
Yeah, the way you're...
Okay, 1 minute. Let me finish reading it. So it's talking about the Goel Adam. So we have this very critically important debate whether, when the Torah says he is not liable for death, is it referring to the one who's running away and that he's protected while he's running to the Arei Miklat, or does it mean that the Goel Adam won't be liable for death, and because of that, you have to ensure that this guy can get to the Arei Miklat as quickly as possible? Yes.
Because I think what the Gemara is trying to say is, because in Pasuk Dalet you have Zed Vaharotzeach Shaynu Shamu L'Chai Shayket El Bividat Hulo Sonei Lo Mitmol Shel Shom.
Right.
So that first part is clearly the Rotzeach, because it's all him.
So you mean the who?
So the who in that first part is talking about the Rotzeach. So it repeats it later.
Okay,
then they're saying, oh, it's the same one we're talking about before. So that's the first opinion. It's talking about the Rotzeach. The second one is no, since we already talked about the Rotzeach in the first time. The second time is already talking about different. Otherwise,
I hear. Okay, so it's that the lo sonei lo is going about the earlier reference to that. That could be. Okay, let's go on. Anyway, you have this critical debate whether the person is protected on the way. I actually think pshat of the psukim, although lo sonei lo v'hu ein lo mishpat maves, I do think pshat of the psukim is referring to the guy who killed. But I think that the idea that the Goel Adam can kill him with impunity until he gets to the Arei Miklat is pshat of the psukim, and that's why the psukim say tachin lecha haderech. Right, you got to make sure, because lest he's exposed before he gets to the Arei Miklat.
That's why you have these Shamei Chachamim.
Exactly. Well, that's what the Gemara is now going to deal with. Okay, it's not. So now let's see if we can sort of figure this out based on a Mishnah. It's not. Most in Shnei Talmidei Chachamim Shemi Yargena B'derech Yidabru Elav. So you have these two Talmidei Chachamim to talk to the Goel Adam. So my love, what are they going to say to him? So if they're Talmidei Chachamim, presumably the reason is to talk halacha. So they're going to demonstrate. They'll give him hasrad. He katil bar katalu, and they'll tell him, if you kill this guy, you're going to be liable to the death penalty. So that's why you need Talmidei Chachamim. This proves that the person is protected along the way, and that's what the Talmidei Chachamim are there to do: is to tell the Goel Adam that he's protected, and that he would be committing murder. So look. No, maybe it just means that they'll be just persuasive. Maybe it does not mean they're going to talk halacha.
You don't need to be chachamim.
I understand. Kidatanya, v'dabrei lo. You speak to him things that he's able to hear. Omim lo, al tinayik bo minuk shofchei damim. Hey, don't kill this guy. Don't treat him like a murderer. Bishkaga b'masal yado. The whole thing was an accident. Okay, and of course, as Michael says, good luck with that, with a Gol Adam who's running in his heat of passion, and you say to him, oh, it was just an accident, okay, and why do you need Talmidei Chachamim? But maybe the Gemara assumes that Talmidei Chachamim, maybe they have a certain authority to them, maybe they can speak in a certain, nuanced way, okay, but yes, this is the issue. Are they telling him halacha, hey, you should know the guy is protected, you'll be committing murder, or are they just trying to persuade him, okay? Rabbi Meir Omer, hu medaber yidei atzmo. He can even, or should even, could even talk for himself. The word of the Rotzach. Amrulo, so the rabbi said back to Rabbi Meir, Harbesh lichutoseh. You know what? Having somebody speak for you, having an emissary can accomplish a lot that you can't accomplish yourself. So it's very important, right? Especially you're trying to defend your own life and saying, hey, here's the guy who killed, your relative, and he's trying to convince you not to kill him, right? It's probably not going to be so successful, okay? So it's very often very helpful to have an intermediary rather than to try to do it yourself. So anyway, it does not seem that this is a halachic debate. Amar bishkaga b'masal yado. So what they say to the Gol Adam is, hey, you should know this was just an accident. Pshita, Di b'mezid bar golusu, obviously, because otherwise he would Di b'mezid bar golusu. Obviously, this was an accident because it was intentional. You think the guy would be?
It doesn't mean the Gol Adam is thinking that.
Right. The point is, it's not like it's an intellectual point that you're making with Gol Adam. It's a persuasion point. Okay, but
they just keep them busy so the guy can run away.
That's also true.
Anyway, everyone used to go to Ari Miklat.
Well, so that's the Gemara's answer. The Gemara says, yes, maybe the Gol Adam thinks that this guy is amazing. And maybe they actually are not just persuading the Gol Adam, but informing him that he's a shogeg. Why? Vatanya, because we talk about Brisa. Everybody goes to the Yer Miklat initially. So it could be he's running to the Yer Miklat, and he is amazing. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Omer, the first thing we would do is you send everybody to the Yer Miklat. And based in then, they take control of the whole thing, and then they recall the people from the Yer Miklat. It's like a jail. The person who then who is found guilty of murder is executed. Of course, the shot of those psukim is the Gol Adam kills him, so there's still some maintenance of the vigilante justice under the control of Beis Din. But of course, that's not halacha what we do. The Beis Din executes him. If somebody was completely innocent, is either total honest or maybe didn't even do it. So then they just free him. They free him. And to some person who killed, but it was b'shogeg, they send him back to the Miklat. Okay, so basically, yes, part of the things that Talmidei Chachamim have to do is not just persuade, but also inform. You should know this guy, yes, it's true, he killed your brother or whatever, but it was an accident.
Wait, so they say that all the time then, even if it was amazing, right?
What?
Do they say that all the time?
No, I don't think that you have the Talmidei Chachamim. It's a good point, but I don't think you have the Talmidei Chachamim. You send a guy to your Miklat, but
how are they going to know if it's amazing or shogeg?
Well, if there's no Talmidei Chachamim, then you can assume.
No, but how is Talmidei?
Oh, how is Talmidei Chachamim know? Yeah, that I was wondering too. You have to have like a presumption of what happened before you actually have the court case. I do understand. I assume the case is that at any time Beis Din thinks that there's, that thinks that it could be a shogeg, they would tell him it's a shogeg. But I was wondering the same thing.
If it went through a court and it was amazing, then he wouldn't be able to run to the.
No, this is before it's gone to the court. Reuven killed Shimon. Okay, now
runs to the Miklat to wait until the trial.
Yes, as he's running to the Miklat to wait until the trial, the Gol Adam is running after him. So Michael says, "Okay, how did the Talmidei Chachamim know to tell the Gol Adam he's a shogeg, not a mazid, if we haven't had the trial yet?" So I assume, though, that they would say based on the presumption of what we know right now, or if it looks like it's possible it was a shogeg, that's what they would tell him.
He's going to trial.
That does not, but that's not what the Breita says. The Breita says they tell him, "Hey, don't kill him. He was a shogeg." Of course, the question is that would they, it's an interesting question as well, which I thought Michael was asking, which is, would they also want to say Talmidei Chachamim would they try to protect even the mazing
Well, that's
guy?
what I'm asking.
Right, because you want the court to deal with it. You don't want the Gol Adam to deal with it. Okay, so anyway, the Gemara says like this. Okay, Rabbi Omer me'atzman hein golim. Now Rebbe says, no. That's not that's not the pshat of the psukim. Pshat of the psukim is not that Beis Din sends the mezid to the Ir Miklat. Yes, the psukim do say explicitly that the Beis Din will send to the Ir Miklat to get the guy to come, and then they'll execute him if he did it b'mezid. So the psukim do describe a scenario where a mezid guy went to the Ir Miklat. But Rebbe says that was not under Beis Din's authority. The guy just ran on his own to the Ir Miklat. If Beis Din is controlling it, then the mezid guy, they'll just keep, like, local to the court, maybe some jail in the court or whatever they'll do, but he won't go to the Ir Miklat. Okay, so when the mezid goes to the Ir Miklat, that was his own decision. They think, the ones who killed the mezid, that the Ir Miklat protects the person whether they're shogeg or mezid. But actually does not protect the intentional murderer. So here you have a fascinating debate of how to read the psukim, and it seems like it's also a debate about whether is the guy who killed b'mezid protected as long as he's in the Ir Miklat until the trial can be held, or does the Gol Adam able to enter into the Ir Miklat and kill the guy who killed b'mezid and get off scot-free? Of course, as Michael points out, the whole question is, how do you determine whether the Gol Adam, what he did was right or not right, and whether the Ir Miklat was protecting or not protecting if you haven't had the trial yet? Maybe you have the trial after the guy's already, after the Rotzeach is already dead. I don't know.
Right. Then he can't defend himself.
I understand. It's very strange. Yeah, I agree. Okay. I'm Rabbi Linzer. Your Sharuba wrote to name Koletes. Let's say your Ir Miklat, your Ir Miklat is supposed to be, I said a minute in jail, but I only meant that was functioning that way in the interim. But obviously from the earlier Gemara we see that you have a vibrant city. It's not a huge city, a vibrant town. And one of the functions it does is it serves as a sanctuary city. Okay, but if it happens that everybody in the town, the majority of the people in the town are these people who killed B'shogeg, it stops functioning. Okay, you need sort of the normal people to give it a status of a town that then protects the minority population that are the people who kill. This is in Yoshua, where it talks about the Ir Miklat, and he'll speak in the ears of the elders of that city. It means that they are distinct from him, from the guy who committed murder, not like they're all in the same category. If there are no elders, it doesn't work. These psukim in Yoshua tell us the criteria of what you need for an Ir Miklat, and you need there to be elders. Hitmar, now this is actually debated. Rabbi Yomi and Rabbi Yasi, Chadamar Koletes, one says, the debate of Rabbi Yomi and Ravasi, one says it still protects, the Chadamar Eino Koletes, it doesn't. Madam Eino Koletes being in Ziknei Ha'ir, that's the verse in Yoshua, it mentions the elders. Vileka, and you don't have it. Lamandamar Koletes, Mitzvah Be'alma, that's just describing the ideal, but it's not really describing what is absolutely necessary. It's not Ma'akev, as we would say. Similarly, if the city has no elders, Rabbi Yomi and Ravasi, same debate. Chadamar Naseh Ben Tzorah Moreh, a child can become a Ben Tzorah Moreh in such a city. Fascinating, we didn't have this in Sanhedrin. The Chadamar Ein Naseh Ben Tzorah Moreh can't. The Mandamar Ein Naseh Ben Tzorah Moreh, you can't make a child a Ben Tzorah Moreh in such a town, being in Ziknei Yiro, because it says the parents take him to the elders. Leka. No, that's just saying that would be the best way to do it. But if there are no elders, you take him to the Beis Din in the next town. They don't need to be the Beis Din of this town. And similarly, if there's no elders, meaning like no Beis Din, if there's a dead body, a suspicious death outside the city, and it says that the elders come, and they make this whole declaration and they lead the whole the ritual of the Egla Rufa. But one says even without elders, you can do it. I don't know who would do it. You would appoint some, some lay people as leaders or something. I don't know. Doesn't bring it by Inan Ziknei Ha'ir, makes a lot of sense. There in particular, right? Because there it's about the city taking responsibility. It's one thing by the Ben Tzorah Moreh, you say, okay, go to the Beis Din in the next town. But here the whole point is the city takes responsibility and the whole ritual is with the Zakanim. So, who else is going to do it? Do they say, presumably some lay leader or something? Now, Tosa says, what do you mean mitzvah ba'alma? There's a Gemara that says that if you have surrounding towns and the closest one doesn't have elders and a further town has elders, it's the further town that has the elders that does the Egla Rufa. So clearly you need elders. So Tosa says, no, that's just when you can choose. if you can choose between a town that has elders and one that doesn't, you give the ritual to the town that does, although they might not be the responsible town. But if all the surrounding towns don't have elders, then you go forth with the ritual without the elders. Okay? So, I'm Rabbi Chamer Bar Chanina. Neiman Emer Parshas Rotzchim B'Lashon Azah. Why, when it says in Yoshua, top of Yud Aleph Hamad Aleph, the story about the murderer, about the Rotzeach, right, about the Ir Miklat, does it speak in a harsh language? A harsh language is because in all of Sefer Yoshua, when God speaks to Yoshua, it says Vayomer, God said. But when it speaks about this issue, it says Vayedaber, God spoke. And I'm even like just hearing the way the words sound. Bear, what are those called? There's a word for those. Gutturals, not gutturals, whatever. Oh. What? Something. Anyway, you hear it's a harder word. Anyway, and Chazal understood that always meant a harsher form of speech. So why is it? It says, look how many times it says the word daber. Nowhere else in Yoshua. Daber b'nei Yisrael lemor. Tnu lachem et arei hamiklat asher dibarti aleichem. Diber. Now, of course, the first answer, which I think a very good pshat answer, because you're doing a mitzvah on the Torah, right? Vaydaber Hashem el ex lemor is classically evokes Vaydaber Hashem Moshe lemor, right? And asher diber b'nei Yisrael, asher dibarti. So it's evoking the fact that this is a fulfillment of the mitzvah of the Torah. Now, the harshness might be because, he really wants to make sure that he takes it seriously, or that he's really on top of it. Okay, it's very weighty. Are you telling me every time he says Vayedaber it's harsh? In Kidduchsiv. Diber Ha'isha Denei Artz Itanu Kashot. The man, the head of the land, Yosef spoke with us harshly. Atanya nidberu, az nidberu yirei Hashem, right? Ein nidberu elolosha nachas, that means pleasantly. V'cheinu omer yadber amin tachteinu, to lead nations, so to lead, under us. So it's a nice, pleasant. It's being led.
Wait, I'm sorry.
So
that's like not a pleasant thing.
So the context of tachteinu is not pleasant, but yadber is. What can I tell you? I don't want to debate it. Ella. So the Gemara says daber l'chud, yadber l'chud. No. Diber, speech is harsh, yet Diber, to lead, might be more pleasant. Anyway, Pliba Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanan. No, the reason it's the harshness is not because it's biblical and it's weighty, but because Yoshua tarried in fulfilling the mitzvah. So God was angry with Yoshua. What we said before, because it's biblical. Okay. Yoshua said, now since we're talking about Yoshua, let's talk about another question about Psukim in Yoshua, which also connects to Ari Miklat. Yoshua said, Devarim ha'ela b'sefer Torah Elohim. Yoshua wrote these words. Again, notice the word Devarim in the book of the Torah of God. So it sounds like the Sefer Torah. So Pliba review of Reb Nechemia. Chadomer Shmona Psukim. So this is great. The last 8 Psukim of the Torah, where we had a debate in Baba Basra whether Moshe wrote them or Yoshua wrote them, because who wrote from the time it says Moshe died? Did Moshe write Moshe died? And the last 8 Psukim of the Torah, so there's an opinion that Yoshua wrote them. So we're tying it into a pasuk in Yoshua that says that Yoshua wrote words in the Sefer Torah. So what better words could those refer to than the last 8 Psukim of the Torah? What? In Dvarim. Oh, also had Dvarim. I wasn't thinking about that, but also in Sefer Dvarim. Right. Had Dvarim Ha'ela. You're right. It's Sefer. It's Sefer Dvarim. I wasn't even thinking about that. So it's perfect. It ties it all in a nice little bow. The Chadamar. No. The Chadamar Arei Miklat. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean he wrote the parsha of Arei Miklat. If you look at Rashi, it says. The Chadamar parshas Arei Miklat. Who Amashik Suva. 1 minute. I think in 1 minute. Chadamar parshas Arei Miklat hu omer sheksuva b'sefer Yehoshua. I think Rashi is saying that the Sefer Torah Elohim is not referring to the Sefer Torah. It's referring to Sefer Yehoshua. Okay, that's the way I'm reading Rashi. Now, I don't think we're saying that Yoshua went back and wrote Arei Miklat in the Sefer Torah. We're saying that Yoshua went back, right? Rashi says Sheksuva b'Sefer Yehoshua. The Sefer Torah Elohim here is Yoshua. It's not the Sefer Torah of Moshe. Okay, now. Oh yeah, it's right in the Gemara. That's the Sefer Torah of God. That's the Torah's Moshe. What we call the Sefer Torah. What does it mean the Sefer? What does it mean Sefer Torah Elohim if it wasn't only the book of Yoshua that he wrote it? He wrote the words that are in the Sefer Torah, and he wrote the fulfillment of that command in his book in Sefer Yoshua. Okay, Now, another debate, since we have this idea of debate of Reb Yehuda and X, Chadam or this and Chadam or this, we're going to have a few others, not exactly related. Sefer Shetfaro b'Pishtan. Let's say you have a Sefer Torah that you tied the pieces of parchment together with flax instead of with gidim, instead of with like sinews, right? They're made from like intestines or whatever, which is what we normally do. Pliba Rav Yehuda Rav Meir. It's a debate. Chadam or kasher, it's kasher. Chadam or pasul, it's pasul. Manam or pasul tichsiv l'man tiyat Toras Hashem b'ficha. That we learned that the contents of the Sefer Torah have to be from things that are kosher to eat. So now, of course, it's not that it's not kosher to eat flax, but that sort of tells you that it's sort of from animal products and kosher animal products. And so we learn that. So, and that is, and that also, well, actually, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. That's by tefillin. By tefillin, it says that you have to put on tefillin, l'man tiyat Toras Hashem b'ficha. Okay, and that pasuk that connects tefillin to Torah, Torat Hashem, right, is how we say that all the halachas that we know by tefillin apply by Sefer Torah. So that's the point. That Toras Hashem there connects tefillin to Sefer Torah, and we know halacha Moshe Misinai that tefillin have to be sewn together like with gidin. So therefore, here too we learn that it requires gidin. So the iskish kol kulo let tefillin. Ma tefillin halacha Moshe Misinai letofar beginning. The same way by tefillin, that's the halacha that you use gidim. Af kol letofar beginning. The same is true by Sefer Torah. The idach and the other one is no. Ki iskish lemuter beficha lihilchosav lo iskish. So no, you only connect it to the Torah for the drasha of beficha. The beficha drasha is that the parchment that you use has to be from a kosher animal. Lemuter beficha, something that you can put in your mouth. So yes, the man tiyat Toras Hashem beficha connects tefillin to Sefer Torah, but only for the halacha that the cloth has to be made from the parchment of a kosher animal. For other halachas, for other details, they are not connected. And therefore, even though tefillin requires gidim, like this gut, it's called sinews or whatever. So, but a Sefer Torah does not. Lo iskish. Amar Rav Chazina said, Rav Chazina lu tefillin debei chavivi. I saw the tefillin in the house of my beloved, which is Rabbi Chia. The tefiri bekitna, that they were sewn together with flax. Now that's, nobody says that's okay because that's tefillin. That is not the halacha. Fine. Moving on to the next Mishnah. Now we're going to talk. Now that we talked about him getting to the Miklat, now we're going to talk about the Kohen Gadol dying. Who is the Kohen Gadol whose death frees the person who went to the Miklat? So whether it was a Kohen Gadol who was anointed with the oil of the Shemen HaMishcha, which was in the first Beis HaMikdash, or it was the one that the way he became Kohen Gadol was that he wore the special 8 garments of the Kohen Gadol, but not with the oil. That happened towards the end of the first Beis HaMikdash. They lost the Shemen HaMishcha, so the Kohen Gadol only became invested through the wearing of the garments. Even somebody who was a Kohen Gadol, who actually for a period was retired, or not retired, whatever, like he had some psul and he couldn't serve and it was Yom Kippur, maybe he had a seminal omission and somebody else served in his place. So now you have like a sitting Kohen Gadol and an ex-Kohen Gadol. So even if you're just an ex-Kohen Gadol, that person's death would free the Goel Hadam. They would all bring him back. Even the guy who's anointed as the Kohen to lead the people into war, because that's, in some places the Torah sort of speaks, talks about it being anointed and having a lofty status over other Kohanim. So that would include even him. Now, whichever Kohen Gadol it is, because it's the death of the Kohen Gadol frees this guy, the mothers of the Kohanim Gedolim would readily send care packages, to the Rotzchim in the Arei Miklat. Okay, why? Says don't pray for our kids to die. So our son, don't pray for my son to die because here you are, you're waiting to go free, so you're waiting for the Kohen Gadol to die. So the mothers would be very nice to you, and then you say, well, if he dies, you just feel maybe gratitude. She gave me all this nice cholent and food or whatever. Now I'm going to wish death on her son. She's such a lovely woman. Okay, but the other thing is also like if the Kohen Gadol does have to leave this year Miklat, I'm going to stop getting all these care packages. So anyway, that's what they would do. It's also wonderful the sense that that there's the sort of belief in the efficacy of prayer, right? It's just they're concerned about the prayers and what the effect the prayers will have. All right, so let's think. What? Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
The whole culture.
Yeah. Right.
Once they've been in the Irmiklat and left, does that mean the Goel Adam can't get them anymore?
Correct. And they're like protected like anybody else. That is correct. Okay. Which doesn't mean the Goel Adam won't kill them, but legally they're protected. Okay. Minani Mili. Where is this from? I would have Kani that all these different people are considered Kohanim Gedolim. That it includes all these Kohanim Gedolim. Amar Rav Kana Demakra. V'yoshev ba'ad Mosa Kohen HaGadol, v'ksiv kibir miklato yeshev ad Mosa Kohen HaGadol, v'ksiv acharei Mosa Kohen HaGadol. 3 times it says the word Kohen HaGadol, so it includes 3 variations of a Kohen Gadol. Rabbi Yehuda, who has a 4th variation, Mashoch Melchama, ksiv krachlina, lashuv lasheres ba'aretz ad Mosa Kohen. Okay, so it once again mentions Kohen. Idach midlo ksiv hagadol. It doesn't say the Kohen hagadol. Chad mehanachu. It means one of the 3 Kohanim Gedolim we mentioned before. It's not coming to include a 4th variation of who's a Kohen Gadol. Fine. So the mothers would make all these nice care packages. I mean, if you have, I guess, you can have it, but it's funny it says the mothers because in any one time, I mean, you could have up to 3. You won't have a mashuach and meruba begadim, right? But you would have a meruba begadim, and you could have an ex Kohen Gadol, and you could have a mashuach milchama. So you could have up to 3 at any one time. Okay, now time of the lo matzlu. So the reason that they're not going to they won't die is because they're not being prayed that they should die. Hamatzlu maisi, which is, I mean, the implication of the Mishnah is, as I said, the efficacy of prayer. That were they to be praying that the Kohen Gadol would die, that might bring about his death. But why should a prayer of, that you want some innocent person to die, why should God listen to that? Okay, maybe we believe in general the efficacy of prayer, but really? Like here's this Kohen Gadol, and because it's not serving your interests and you pray for him to die, God will listen to that? So the verse says, "Kitzipur lanud kidror," like a bird, flies free. Laof kidror laof, like the freedom of a bird. Ken kilas chinam lo tavo. A meaningless curse will not come true. So you're cursing the Kohen Gadol. You want him to die. There's no basis for that. Why should God listen to that? So Amar Hahu Saba Mifirke the Rava Mifirke the Rava Shmili. So a certain elder said, I heard from the yeshiva of Rava the answer to this. The Kohanim Gedolim share some of the guilt. They should have prayed that for their generation that these types of things shouldn't happen. That accidental deaths shouldn't happen. Which basically means like if something bad happens, the leaders have some culpability. Now here it's tying it back into prayer. They should have prayed to God to intervene. I mean, where's the Bechira Chavshis? But you could also say, they should have done a better job as religious leaders and spoken to people more about responsibility and the sanctity of life and care that they had to take in order to ensure that these things don't happen. Which is so, I mean, it is an interesting question. Why is the death of the Kohen Gadol set this guy free? Like, what's the logic between that? So anyway, here it sort of says, well, maybe they do have a little bit of culpability in that. Okay. Okay.
We had the other day about Avimelech and Abraham. And Avimelech was blamed for not doing derech eretz.
Right. Avimelech was modeling how people act.
He caused.
Right. He caused his people. Right. Right. The leader models the right way of acting. Exactly. The Iga de Mosni Kadesh Palo. Now, some have the version in the Mishnah different. Not that they shouldn't pray that their kids should die, but the Kadeshi Yitpalu Abanim Shelo Yamusu. The opposite. You're asking them to pray that their kids should live. That's a big ask. Okay? Yeah. But so now the Gemara says in 1 minute, that's even worse. Time of the Matzlu. So the reason the Kohanim Gedolim aren't dying right now is because these Rotzchim are praying for them to live. How low Matzlu, the implication would be if they wouldn't actively be praying for them to live. So Maisi, the Kohanim Gedolim would die. Why should the Kohen Gadol be deserving of death? So Hacham Minan. So here we say. So this is part of sharpening the question. Here in Bavel, the way we express the irony of such a situation is by saying Tuvia chata zigud minag mangid. Tuvia sinned and Zigud gets lashes, like because Reuven sins and Shimon gets thrown into jail. So where's the justice in that? Now this is based on a case where the Gemara says that Tuvia actually sinned. He committed some sexual sin, and this guy Zigud went to court and said, "I saw him commit this sin." And whoever it was, Rav, I think, or whatever, said to him, "You're only." Rav Papa said to him, Rav Papa gave lashes to the guy who reported on it. So the guy who got lashes said, what, Tovia sins and Zigud gets lashes? And he said, yes, you're only an Eid Echad. Eid Echad isn't believed. So if you're going around telling people this guy sinned and it's not a testimony that's believed in court, you're just spreading Lashon Hara. So, which is like a fascinating Gemara. But anyway, so where's the justice in that? The Rotzeach killed and the Kohen Gadol's deserving of death. Hasamar min Eretz Yisrael, here's the way they phrase the irony of this. Shchem nosiv, umavgai gozir, Shchem married Dina. And Mavgai, which somehow means the people of the city, or maybe it's the name of a particular person in the city. He had to get a bris milah, right? That's the story, right? Shchem makes everybody in the city get a bris milah. Shchem got to have sexual relations with this woman he wanted, and I had to get a bris milah. So where's the justice? So Amar Husava Mifazika. Mipirke de Rava Shmieli, I heard this from the teaching of Rava. And this is even heavier than before. Not just that the prayers will be answered, but that they start off with a certain deserving of death when murder or even accidental death occurs under your watch. I mean, you just think about things that have happened recently, of course, with all those horrific shootings or whatever. Where's the responsibility of the leaders? And so it says, they are, to some degree deserving of death themselves, and they have to be prayed that they don't die. Kehud now. There's a certain person that a lion attacked and was within 3 parsangs, like 3 kilometers of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. And as a result, Eliyahu normally would daily speak to Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, didn't speak to him for 3 days, because presumably since it happened in his vicinity, right, it was in the town that Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi had some authority over. So why isn't Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi trying to teach people to make more protections against the lions, and do it's part of his religious responsibility. Rabbi Love told me that on Yom Kippur, the rabbi of his show got up and for his main drush on Yom Kippur says, everybody needs to make sure that the batteries in their smoke detectors are still working. Which is like really interesting. Like, if I'm the rabbi, I have responsibility for the safety of my community, So anyway, so how did this lion attack this guy? What were you doing to make sure those things don't happen? Since we're talking about a curse, and a kilas chinam, it's a chinam and chacham, a curse that's for naught, God doesn't listen to if it's not deserving, but a curse issued by a chacham, even if it was not deserving, because the chacham issued it, it's going to come true. Famous Gemara. At the time, it's also paralleled in the Yerushalmi, which unfortunately we haven't been learning these days. At the time when David was digging the foundation of the Beit HaMikdash, so Kafa Tahoma, he dug so deep to lay the foundation, not exactly clear why he had to dig so deep, that he tapped into the underwater, depths, and the water started coming up, and it was going to flood the whole world.
We read about it in
Oh, right, exactly.
He wants to touch the home.
Exactly. And in the Yerushalmi, it says that there was a little piece of pottery on top of a hole, right? And the pottery said to David, don't remove me, it's going to get it. David said, I don't care. It's just like crazy story. Anyway, exactly. So by the world was going to get flooded because he released the power of the underworld depths. So David had a solution. I'll write God's name on a piece of pottery, which parallels the version that he took a pottery off to remove it. I'll throw it down. It'll magically find the hole. And because, of God's name on it, it'll seal the hole and then it'll save it. But in the course of it, God's name will be erased because the water will wipe it away. What was that case with the when they had that? I had thought about this Gemara a lot when they had that the underground oil hole that they couldn't seal up. Remember that the disaster that happened like a few years ago? Exxon and they whatever and they couldn't figure out how to get to it and seal it up. I said they just needed that piece of pottery from David HaMelech. Anyway, so the Leiku Adukta will stay on top of the hole. Leiku the Amar Leimidi, nobody could give him an answer. Amar Kol Yadeh Davaz Evein Omro. If anybody knows this and isn't going to come forth and say it, Yechanek B'Grono, let him be choked in his throat. Let me think about this. So he made a kavachomer. Amar Umala, so Shalom Beinish Ishto, Amar Tarash Misha Katzabiktusha Yimachel Amayim. When to make peace between husband and wife by a case of sota, God says you can write my name in Kedusha on a cloth and directly destroy my name and scrape it into the water. So L'chol and Kula Lo Koshke. Certainly, for the sake of the whole world, you should be able to do this. I mean, the question is like, with our halachic approach, like what would be the havamina? It's just a negative prohibition. It's pikuach nefesh. Of course you do it. Like maybe you thought it's part of a haftas Hashem Elokecha. It's sort of like a avodah zara. What's Yitzhar Yavar? I don't know. Anyway, it's only a grama. Anyway, Amalei Shadi. Sorry, it's permissible. So he wrote the name on a piece of pottery. Shadi Atahomi, he threw it down. Nachas v'kama duchta. The water went down and it stood on its place. The other part of the story is that he said 15, like the water went so far down, and then there was not enough water in the world because it wasn't close to the surface, and he had to say the 15 shir hamals to bring the water closer to the surface. There's more of this story. Anyway. So this was a kilat chinam because he only said, if you don't tell me, and Achitofel told him. It also seems that Achitofel himself didn't know it until he felt the pressure to figure it out, right? It wasn't like he knew it and was willingly withholding it. So even though it was a kilat chinam, nevertheless it says, his counsel was not followed in terms of the whole thing about the whole succession. And he went to a city, and he gave his final instructions, and he's choked and died. Okay, seemingly like he did it to himself. Anyway, it comes even on a condition. Well, that's sort of the case of David. It says, they said if you know and don't tell. Minolan me Eli. The Kamalei Eli Lishmuel. Eli said to Shmuel, Kol Yaselach Elohim v'Kol Yosef. So should God do to you, and so God should increase. In techachei mimeni davar. If you withhold from me this thing, and then Shmuel told him what he wanted to know. So that Shmuel told him and did not hold it back, so the curse should not have been fulfilled. But it says by Shmuel, Shmuel's children did not follow his ways, and they took bribes, and that very much parallels what happened to Eli's children. Eli's children also abused their authority, and they took bribes and so on. Okay, so Eli said to Shmuel, God should do to you, the implication was do to you like what happened to me. You should also have kids that don't follow your way, and even though it was on a condition, nevertheless, it came true. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Rav, Nidoyal Tanai, which just shows how careful you have to be about your words. Nidoyal Tanai, putting somebody in Cherem on a Tanai, Tzarech Hafara. Even though it's on a Tanai, you need to release the Cherem, the Nidoy, even if the Tanai was not satisfied. Minalan, Mi Yehuda, by Yehuda Dichsi, when he says by Binyamin, right? If I don't bring Binyamin back to you, I will sin to you the whole day. So that's like considered like nidoy, to be considered to be outcast and a sinner, right? So he's accepting, it's read as accepting a cherem on himself, but only if he doesn't produce Binyamin. Okay? Now, if you think about it, here's a question. Did Yehuda fulfill that? In a way, Yehuda didn't fulfill that. He never brought Binyamin back and presented him to Yaakov. Yaakov came down to Mitzrayim. But the Gemara still understands that, look, more or less he fulfilled it. He ensured the safety of Binyamin. And nevertheless, how do we know that this curse that he said about himself, like I'll be considered a sinner, which is read as a cherem, how do we know that it took hold? Because it says, what's meant by the verse? What's the juxtaposition when Moshe in the bracha says, let Reuven live and not die, and then he says, Vizos Yehuda, okay? And part of the question is that it doesn't introduce the bracha of Yehuda by saying, Yehuda Amar. By all the other tribes, it says, Yosef Amar, Binyamin Amar, but Yehuda just says, Vizos Yehuda. So it's directly juxtaposed to that of Reuven. So Kolos and Memshana Shah Yisrael Midbar, the whole 40 years, that's most of Yehuda Megugalim Ba'aron. The bones of Yehuda were rolling around in the Aron, sort of showing that his soul was not at rest. Until Moshe prayed for him. Who caused Reuven to admit his sin with Bilhah? So that was Yehuda. So it was Yehuda, because that's not in the Psukim, but the sense is, since Yehuda made a public admission of his sin, the reading is that caused Reuven also to make a public admission of his sin. So given that Yehuda did it, Vizos Yehuda, is this worthy of Yehuda, the fate that has occurred to Reuven? So after we said Yichi Reuven Val Yamos, Reuven lives, eternally, and Reuven did tshuva, Vizos Yehuda, is this the fate that Yehuda deserves? Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda. God, listen to his voice, allow his soul to find rest. Al Evrei Lushafe. So the bones reconnected. They went into their sockets. So rather than being like just a big pile of bones rolling around, you had a full skeleton now. Okay, so at least his bones were at rest. But they still wouldn't let Yehuda's soul enter in to the yeshiva up in heaven. So the Elamo Tivienu. So we keep on reading the pasuk. Bring him to his nation. So they let him come into the yeshiva. But he didn't know how to argue in, have good arguments in Talmudic discussions. So Bahadei Rabbanan with the other rabbis up there in the yeshiva in heaven. Yadav Ravlo, let his hand be mighty, let him be able to be, have strength in these in the Talmudic debates. Fine, he was able to debate well, but he couldn't answer questions. He couldn't really resolve things. Let him have help from his oppressors. Okay, Ibailu. Now, fine. So that's the end of that story about that Yehuda Svisal. Now, Tosfos asks an important question. Tosfos says 1 minute, because a primary way in the Middle Ages that the rabbinic leaders got people to follow their edicts was, if you don't follow our edicts, you are going to be what? Put in chayrim, right? Like Chaim Rabbeinu Gershom. But here's the problem. If I say, if you don't do this, I'm going to put you in chayrim, well, then everybody's in chayrim because even on Tanai, it somehow takes effect and has to be released. So Tosfos is bothered about that. So Tosfos says, no, there's a difference. He says, Yehuda, when he says, if I don't return him to you, that wasn't under his control. And since it wasn't under his control, how did he know, right? Yosef could have, whatever, right? So because it wasn't under his control, it took effect regardless. But as long as the condition of the cherem is completely something you can control, then it won't take effect unless you actually satisfy the conditions. Okay, but this Gemara creates real important halachic and authority issues for the Rishonim in the Middle Ages who used the cherem al Tanai as a way of gaining compliance. So just to see the question in Tosfos, he says, Afilu al Tanai tar chafara, yesh midaktikin nikan diniduyim shalanu, our niduyim, our cherems, afilu osam sheish lem zman, even if, first of all, let's say there are time limits to them, ein lenados atzman misafek, shoyhachi hisne bedavar shalohi biyadu leka, and okay, so it won't work. And then Tosfos' answer, like the text is a little bit needs fixing here, but it basically is no. Hacha hisne bedavar shalohi biyadu lekaya, and here Judah couldn't control it. That's why it took effect even though it was on condition, because it wasn't a condition you could control. So it took effect regardless. But other ones that the person can choose, is he going to do the things that's going to lead to the cherem? You put a person on the cherem and you say, if you do so and so, then you're going to be put in cherem. Okay, that's not going to take effect from the outset. It only take effect when the condition is met. Because then we can presume that since he can control it, that he doesn't want to be put in chayrim, so therefore it's not going to take effect at the beginning. It'll only take effect if and when he chooses to actually violate the conditions. Okay, but that's very important because that was a major tool that they used in the Middle Ages. All right, let's finish up here. So now we have one halacha question left. Ibailu, they asked the question: B'misas kulan hu chozer o dilma b'misas echad mehen? When we said that there are all these kohanim gedolim, so do you need all of them to die? If there's a period when there are multiple kohanim gedolim, an ex-kohen gadol, a sitting kohen gadol, is the death of any one of them free this person, or do all of them have to die? So Tashma coming here, you would assume it means any one of them. Tashma nigmar dino below kohen gadol enu yotze misham leolam. It says if somebody's rule is passed without a kohen gadol, he's never freed. Now, why not? So there's not a kohen gadol, but what about the other kohanim gadolim? Why wouldn't they free him? So that's not a question. Why is he freed with the other kohanim gadolim? Says he needs the answer. The leka. No, there aren't other kohanim gadolim. It's not all the time that you have multiple kohanim gadolim. But when you do have multiple ones, the question is, do you need all of them to die or not? Let's just read the Mishnah so we can get a little bit closer, a little to where we should be. Okay, Misha Nigmar Dino, this is the line we just quoted anyway. Meis Kohen Gadol. Now, when does the Kohen Gadol's death free the guy? Does he have to already be in the Ir Miklat? So the Mishnah says no. Once the din was done and based in Paskind and said, fine, you killed the guy, you're found guilty, but it was b'shogeg, you have to go to the Ir Miklat. That's your halacha. By the way, that's interesting that there's a concept of gemar din to go to the ir miklat, right? It's not just you run and you're protected. Like this is again the Beis Din taking over. The Beis Din passes its judgments, its sentencing to you, and it is that you go to the ir miklat. So once that gemar din occurred, then the person is liable to the ir miklat. Then the death of the kohen gadol would free him. But if the kohen gadol died during the proceedings, before the gemar din, umanu acher taktav, but then they created a new kohen gadol during the proceedings, and then he had a gemar din, then it's the death of the second one. Okay, so as long as there is a kohen gadol when his gemar din occurs, so at the moment of his gemar din, you look who the kohen gadol is, and when that kohen gadol dies, he goes free. Now, what if there's no kohen gadol at the moment of gemar din? Okay, so nigmar dina below kohen gadol. So this is the one case which we don't know. If there's no sitting kohen gadol, the hard kohen gadol. Now, not only that, let's say somebody kills a kohen gadol. Okay, and then by the time of his gemar din, there's a new kohen gadol. Okay, the kohen gadol sharag, or kohen gadol committed murder, and at the time of his gemar din, there's a new kohen gadol. All those three cases, eina yotzim misham lolam, they never go free. So the last two you sort of understand, right? But anyway, but the first one was the end of the point we made before, that it's the death of the kohen gadol who is around at the moment of gemar din, and that by luck happens or chance happens that there's no kohen gadol around at the moment of gemar din, then you don't have the conditions necessary for ever going free. Okay, the Eno Yotze, now, when he says he can't leave, going back to being in the Ir Miklat, he can't leave lo de edus mitzvah, not to give testimony, even that's for the sake of a mitzvah, lo edus mamon, or testimony for a monetary dispute, lo edus nefashot, or testimony even for a capital crime. Now, the question is why maybe Beis Din should go there and have the court case there to receive his testimony. But regardless, he can go out for any reason. Even if he's needed to serve a public service. They're at war and they need him to head an army. Now, of course, that's a real big question, right? Because, okay, there's a negative prohibition of not leaving, but like what happened to Pikuach Nefesh, like the discussion earlier, right? You have a war, you security. I mean, that's a very strange halacha. Mishum Lolam, Shenemar Asher Nas Shama, there. Sham tehei dirato, there he must remain. Sham te mitato, there he must die, assuming the kohen gadol doesn't die first. Sham te kverso, there he shall be buried. Now, last point, kashem she'ir koletes kak truma kolet. So running, in your way running there, we discussed whether you'd be protected, but at the city itself, we say not only the city, but its environs. Now, what defines the edge, the scope of its environs? Maybe it means the 2,000 amot, that's the tchum of Shabbos. Now, finally, the question. There he is. He's exposed. He's out of the city. He's not protected. The Gol Adam. What is we know the Gol Adam is not liable for killing him. Okay? Should he kill him or shouldn't he kill him? So Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer mitzvah biyad Gol Adam. There's a mitzvah in the hand of the Gol Adam. The Gol Adam should kill him, actually, if he goes outside of the Ir Miklat. And any normal person is allowed to kill him. Okay? So Rabbi Yossi, it's really very strange. I mean, at the end of the guy, this guy did a Peshoga. I mean, that'll keep the guy in the Ir Miklat. So you could read Rabbi Yossi maybe less that the guy is deserving of death and more that he must stay in the Ir Miklat, like he has an obligation to stay. So if he's really his life is at serious risk when he leaves, this is going to keep him in the Ir Miklat. But it sounds more than that. And it's troublesome, right? He killed B'shogeg. Why is there a mitzvah biyad Gol Adam? Rabbi Akiva Omer reshus biyad Gol Adam v'chol Adam chayavin alav. Now here's a question: how to read the last line of the Mishnah? No, the Gol Adam does not have a mitzvah. Maybe the Torah allows it, and that's I would think the pshat of the Torah is Rabbi Akiva, not just because of my own ethical instincts. It seems like the Psukim are saying this. They don't want the Gol Adam to kill him. Right, as the Psukim seem to be saying. So Rabbi Akiva says, fine, they will not hold him liable, the Gol Adam. That'll keep the guy in the Ir Miklat, and maybe the Torah can't totally eradicate these elements of vigilante justice, so it has to tolerate it to a small degree, okay? But it's only a reshus. There's no purpose, there's no point, there's no mitzvah to kill him. And let's say somebody not the Goel Adam kills him. So there's two ways to read the last line of the Mishnah. One is any other person who kills him is liable, has committed murder. That's our version. But some have the girsa ein chayavin alav, that everybody else doesn't have permission to kill him, but if they did, it would not be considered murder. Okay, so that also I think remains troubling to think about that. Okay, but so this end is a very fascinating about this issue about how much is the Torah really against this vigilante justice and just tolerating it in small degrees, and how much is it actually saying actually there's some value to this and there should remain some mitzvah. Okay, so we'll end with this and continue with the Gemara tomorrow.
So you mean that